Chapter 1. Shattered vows. The rain pounded against the stained glass windows of St. Mary's Cathedral like 1,000 accusing fingers, mirroring the storm raging inside Elara Voss's chest. She stood at the altar in her ivory gown, the one she'd spent months agonizing over, its lace bodice now feeling like a cage around her ribs. The scent of lilies, her favorite, hung heavy in the air, but it only made her stomach churn. Across from her, under the arched ceiling adorned with flickering candlelight, stood Marcus Hale, her fiancé of 2 years. Or at least, he was supposed to be. The priest's voice droned on, but Elara's eyes were locked on Marcus. His handsome face, usually so composed, with its sharp jawline and easy smile, was twisted in discomfort. He shifted his weight, tugging at his tuxedo collar as if it were strangling him. The congregation, friends, family, distant relatives she'd barely spoken to watched with bated breath, their whispers barely audible over the thunder outside. "Do you, Marcus Hale, take Elara Voss to be your lawfully wedded wife?" The priest intoned, his words echoing off the stone walls. Marcus's gaze flickered to the side doors, then back to her. Time stretched like a taut bowstring. Elara's heart hammered, a cold dread seeping in. This wasn't nerves. This was something worse. I can't, Marcus said finally, his voice cracking like the lightning outside. Gasps rippled through the pews. Elara's world tilted. "What?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Her hands clutching the bouquet of white roses trembled. "I'm sorry, Elara. I can't do this." He backed away a step, his eyes avoiding hers. "It's not you, it's me. I thought I could, but..." The words blurred into a haze. Not her? After everything? After she'd uprooted her life in the city, moved to this sleepy town of Silver Ridge on the edge of the vast evergreen forest because he wanted a fresh start. After she'd ignored the red flags, the late nights, the secretive phone calls, the way he'd grown distant, she'd convinced herself it was wedding jitters. But now, here, in front of everyone, he was rejecting her. The bouquet slipped from her fingers, petals scattering like broken dreams. Whispers turned to murmurs, then to outright chatter. Her best friend, Leela, stood up from the front row, her face pale with shock. Elara's mother, seated beside her father, covered her mouth in horror. "Elara, please," Marcus pleaded, reaching out half-heartedly. But she recoiled, the sting of betrayal igniting a fire in her veins. "Don't," she hissed, her voice steadier than she felt. "Just don't." She turned on her heel, the train of her dress swishing like a whip. Ignoring the calls of her name, she pushed through the side door, bursting into the storm. Rain soaked her instantly, the cold water mingling with the hot tears streaming down her face. Her heels sank into the mud as she ran, away from the cathedral, away from the life she'd built on lies. Silver Ridge was a quaint town, nestled against the dense, misty woods that locals whispered about stories of wild animals, disappearances, and old legends. But Elara didn't care. She needed escape. Her car was parked nearby, but in her frenzy, she veered toward the forest path instead, the one leading to the old hiking trails. The wind howled through the trees, branches clawing at the sky like skeletal hands. She stumbled deeper into the woods, her gown tearing on thorns, mascara running in black rivulets. Why her? What had she done wrong? Marcus had been her anchor after her parents' messy divorce, after she'd lost her job in the city. He'd promised stability, love, and now, nothing. A crack of thunder made her jump, and she slipped on wet leaves, tumbling down a small embankment. Pain shot through her ankle as she landed in a puddle, the mud staining her dress irrevocably. She lay there for a moment, sobbing, the rain relentless. That's when she heard it, a low growl, rumbling like distant thunder but closer, more primal. Elara froze, her breath catching. Pushing herself up, she scanned the shadows. The forest was alive with movement, leaves rustling, wind whipping. But then, eyes gleamed in the darkness, golden, piercing, locked on her. A massive wolf emerged from the underbrush, its fur as black as midnight, muscles rippling under its sleek coat. It was enormous, larger than any wolf she'd seen in documentaries, with scars marring its muzzle and a presence that screamed predator. Fear gripped her, but she couldn't move. The wolf's gaze held intelligence, almost human-like, assessing her. "Stay back," she whispered, her voice trembling. She scrambled backward, her injured ankle protesting. The wolf tilted its head, ears perking, as if understanding. It took a step forward, then another, its paws silent on the forest floor. Panic surged. Was this how it ended? Mauled in the woods after being jilted. But the wolf didn't attack. Instead, it sniffed the air, its nostrils flaring, and let out a soft whine almost concerned. Rain matted its fur, revealing powerful shoulders and a fresh wound along its flank, blood mixing with water. Elara's mind raced. Wolves didn't behave like this. They were wild, dangerous. Yet this one seemed hesitant, protective? No, that was ridiculous. She must be hallucinating from shock. Go away, she shouted, throwing a handful of mud. The wolf flinched, but didn't retreat. Instead, it lowered its head, ears flattening, and approached slowly. Up close, its eyes were mesmerizing, amber flecked with gold, holding a depth that unnerved her. Thunder boomed again, and lightning illuminated the scene. In that flash, Elara swore she saw something shift in the wolf's form, a ripple like heat haze. But it was gone in an instant. She tried to stand, but her ankle gave out. The wolf was mere feet away. Now, desperation clawed at her. Please, don't hurt me. As if in response, the wolf nudged her hand with its nose cold, wet, surprisingly gentle. Elara gasped, pulling back, but the touch sent a strange warmth through her, cutting through the chill. What was happening? Before she could process it, the wolf's ears pricked up, and it growled low, turning toward the deeper woods. Shadows moved their more eyes. Another growl, this one menacing. The black wolf positioned itself between her and the threat, hackles raised. Elara's heart pounded. Was it protecting her? From what? A howl echoed in the distance, answered by others. The black wolf glanced back at her, those golden eyes urgent, as if urging her to move. But she couldn't. Exhaustion and pain overwhelmed her. The world blurred, darkness creeping in. The last thing she saw was the wolf shifting closer, its body heat a surprising comfort against the storm. When Elara woke, the rain had lessened to a drizzle. She was in a small clearing, propped against a tree. Her ankle throbbed, but it was bandaged with strips of what looked like torn fabric from her dress. No, something else. And she wasn't alone. A man knelt beside her, his back to her as he tended a small fire. Broad-shouldered, with dark hair plastered to his neck, he wore a soaked shirt that clung to his muscled frame. Scars marked his arms, and a fresh gash on his side mirrored the wolf's wound. Who are you? She croaked, her voice hoarse. He turned, his face chiseled and rugged, with a jaw shadowed by stubble and eyes, those same golden eyes. Name's Thorne Blackwood, he said, his voice deep, gravelly, like the growl she'd heard. And you, little runaway bride, are a long way from safety. Elara's pulse quickened. How did he know? And where was the wolf? Suspicion warred with the inexplicable pull she felt toward him, a stranger in the woods, yet somehow familiar. I found you passed out, Thorne continued, handing her a makeshift canteen of water. Storm's bad tonight. You shouldn't be out here. She took it warily, sipping. There was a wolf. Big black one. It saved me, I think. Thorne's expression flickered something guarded, almost pained. Wolves around here are protective of their territory. Lucky it didn't see you as a threat. Their eyes met, and a spark ignited, warm and insistent, like fate whispering. Elara shivered, not from cold. Who was this man? And why did being near him feel like coming home? Little did she know, the real storm was just beginning. Chapter 2. Shadows in the storm. Elara's fingers tightened around the canteen, the cool metal grounding her amid the chaos of her thoughts. The fire crackled softly, casting flickering shadows across Thorne's face, highlighting the sharp angles of his cheekbones and the faint scar running along his jaw. He watched her with those unnerving golden eyes, patient but intense, like a predator sizing up prey or perhaps a guardian assessing a ward. The storm had eased to a persistent drizzle, but the forest around them felt alive, whispering secrets in the rustle of leaves and distant calls of nocturnal creatures. Who are you really? She asked, her voice steadier now, though her heart still raced from the adrenaline of the chase and the wolf-Siri encounter. And how did you find me out here? This isn't exactly a popular hiking spot. Thorne poked at the fire with a stick, sparks dancing upward. I live nearby. Cabin not far from here. I was out, checking the trails when the storm hit. Heard you crashing through the brush like a deer in panic. He glanced at her mud-streaked gown, a ghost of a smirk tugging at his lips. Didn't expect to find a bride playing hide and seek with the woods. Heat flushed her cheeks, not from the fire, but from embarrassment mingled with lingering hurt. It's not a game. My wedding. It fell apart, spectacularly. She swallowed, the words tasting bitter. He left me at the altar, in front of everyone. Thorne's expression softened, the smirk vanishing. He nodded slowly, as if understanding more than she said. That's rough. People can be cruel when they're scared of commitment, or when they're hiding who they really are. His voice carried a weight, a hint of personal pain that made her wonder what shadows lurked in his past. She shifted, wincing as her ankle protested. The bandage was crude but effective, wrapped with what looked like strips from an old shirt. Thanks for this. She gestured to her leg. And for the fire. I don't know what I would have done otherwise. Don't mention it. He shrugged, but his eyes lingered on her, a flicker of something deeper concern? Curiosity? It sent a shiver through her that had nothing to do with the chill. Name's Thorne. Like I said, Blackwood. I keep to myself mostly. This town's full of folks who pry too much. Elara Voss, she replied, extending a hand tentatively. When he took it, his grip was firm, callous from what she imagined was hard labor, and warm unnaturally so, like he carried an inner fire. A jolt passed between them, electric and insistent, making her breath hitch. She pulled back quickly, rubbing her palm as if burned. What was that? Thorne seemed unfazed, but his jaw tightened subtly. Elara, pretty name. Means shining light or something, right? Fitting for someone who runs into storms. She laughed weakly, surprised by the sound. More like a flickering bulb right now. I moved here for him, Marcus. Thought it was a new beginning. Now it feels like the end. He leaned back against a log, his posture relaxed but alert, scanning the tree line every so often. Ends are just disguised beginnings. Trust me on that. His tone invited no questions, but she couldn't help probing. You sound like you've had your share of them. What brings a guy like you to live out here? Alone? A low chuckle rumbled from him, deep and resonant. The quiet, the freedom. Cities too crowded too, artificial. Here, you live by nature's rules. Survive or don't. He paused, his gaze distant, as if reliving memories. Lost my family young. Packer. People I ran with turned toxic. So I carved out my own space. Pack? The word stuck out, odd in context, but she dismissed it as a slip. Still, unease prickled her skin. Sounds lonely. It is. Until it's not. His eyes met hers again, holding longer this time. That pull returned, magnetic, drawing her in despite the warning bells in her mind. Who was this stranger really? And why did sitting here with him feel safer than the life she'd fled? A howl pierced the night, echoing from the depths of the forest. Elara tensed, memories of the black wolf flooding back. That wolf. It was huge. And it didn't attack. It almost seemed like it was watching over me. Thorne's body went still, his muscles coiling subtly. Wolves in these woods are different. Old bloodlines, they say, protective of their own. He stood abruptly, offering a hand. Storm's picking up again. My cabin's a short walk. You can dry off there. Wait it out. Can't leave you here with that ankle. She hesitated, logic screaming caution. But something in his eyes' vulnerability beneath the strength tugged at her. And truthfully, where else could she go? Back to the cathedral? To face the pitying stares? Okay, but just until the rain stops. He helped her up, his arms steady around her waist as she leaned on him. His scent enveloped her earthy, like pine and musk, with a wild undercurrent that stirred unfamiliar instincts. They moved slowly through the trees, the path illuminated by faint moonlight breaking through clouds. Every brush of his body against hers sent sparks, building a tension she couldn't name. The cabin emerged from the mist, a sturdy log structure, weathered but solid, with a porch overlooking a ravine. Inside, it was sparse wooden furniture, a stone fireplace, books scattered on shelves. No photos, no personal touches. Like a man who didn't plan to stay long or let anyone in, Thorne eased her onto a worn couch, fetching blankets and a first aid kit. As he rewrapped her ankle, his fingers gentle on her skin, she watched him. Scars crisscrossed his hands, old and new. You get hurt a lot out here? Occupational hazard, he murmured, his breath warm against her leg. Their eyes locked, and time stretched. She saw it then, a flicker of gold in his irises, deeper than before, almost glowing. Her pulse quickened. What aren't you telling me, Thorne? He pulled away, standing with a forced casualness. Everyone has secrets, Elara. Some are better left buried. But as he turned to stoke the fire, she caught a glimpse of his side, the gash from earlier, now bandaged. Matching the wolf's wound exactly, suspicion bloomed. mingling with the growing warmth in her chest. Who or what was Thorne Blackwood? And why did her heart whisper that he was meant for her? Outside, another howl rose, closer this time. Thorne's head snapped toward the window, a low growl escaping his throat, inhuman, primal. Elara's breath caught. The night held more mysteries than she knew, and she was entangled in them now. Chapter 3. Whispers of the Wild. Elara's eyes widened at the sound escaping Thorne's throat, a guttural rumble that vibrated through the cabin's wooden walls, more beast than man. He froze, his back to her, shoulders tense under the damp shirt. The howl outside lingered in the air, a haunting melody that seemed to call to him specifically. She clutched the blanket tighter, her mind racing. It couldn't be coincidence. The wolf's wound, those eyes, now this growl. But voicing it aloud felt absurd, like stepping into one of those old folktales her grandmother used to spin about the evergreen forest stories of men who wore the skins of animals under the moon's gaze. Thorne cleared his throat, the sound shifting to something more human. Just the wind playing tricks, he muttered, turning back with a forced smile that didn't reach his eyes. He busied himself at the small kitchenette, pulling out a tin of tea and a kettle. Herbal blend. It'll warm you up, help with the shock. She nodded, though doubt gnawed at her. As he set the kettle on the stove, the flame flickering to life, Elara studied the room more closely. The cabin was a study in solitude, a single bed in the corner, neatly made. A bookshelf crammed with worn volumes on wildlife, mythology, and survival. A few hand-carved wooden figures on the mantel, wolves, mostly their forms captured with eerie precision. No mirrors, she noted oddly. And on the wall, a faded map of the forest, marked with red X's and clusters that looked like territories. You live here alone? She asked, breaking the silence as he handed her a steaming mug. The aroma of chamomile and mint wafted up, soothing her frayed nerves. Mostly, he settled into an armchair across from her, cradling his own mug. His posture was guarded, legs crossed, but his gaze softened as it met hers. Occasional visitors, hunters, hikers who get lost. Like you. A pause, then quieter. What about you, Elara? Running from a wedding. That's not just cold feet. What's the real story? The question caught her off guard, vulnerability cracking through her defenses. She sipped the tea, the warmth spreading through her chest, loosening the knot of pain. Marcus. He was everything I thought I needed. Stable job, charming smile, promises of forever. But lately, he changed. Secretive. I'd catch him staring at the woods like they held answers. And today, he just bailed. Tears pricked her eyes, but she blinked them back. I feel so stupid. Like I ignored all the signs. Thorne leaned forward, elbows on knees, his expression a mix of empathy and something fiercer anger. You're not stupid. People hide parts of themselves. Sometimes to protect others, sometimes because they're cowards. His voice dropped, laced with bitterness. I've known both kinds. The way he said it hinted at depths unspoken. Like your family? You mentioned a pack that turned toxic. He hesitated, fingers tightening around the mug. Yeah, grew up in a tight-knit group. Rules, hierarchies, alpha types calling the shots. A wry smile. I challenged the wrong one. Got scarred for it. He absently touched the gash on his side, wincing slightly. Learned to survive on my own terms. Elara's gaze followed his hand. The bandage peeked from under his shirt, the wound fresh enough to seep a hint of red. Identical to the wolf's. Her pulse quickened. That looks bad. How do you get it? Hunting accident. Branches can be vicious. But his eyes darted away, the lie hanging heavy. She set her mug down, emboldened by the tea or perhaps the strange comfort of his presence. Thorne. That wolf in the woods. It had the same injury. And its eyes, they were like yours. Golden, almost glowing. She leaned closer, searching his face. Am I crazy, or is there something you're not telling me? For a moment, silence stretched taut. Thorne's jaw clenched, a muscle ticking. Outside, the howls multiplied, a chorus now, drawing nearer. He stood abruptly, moving to the window, peering into the darkness. You're not crazy, but some things, they're better left in the shadows. For your safety. My safety? She rose, ignoring the twinge in her ankle, hobbling to join him. The forest beyond the glass was a wall of black, punctuated by glowing eyes in the distance, pairs of them, watching. A chill raced down her spine. What's out there? Rivals, he said softly, his breath fogging the pain. They don't take kindly to intruders, or to Strays finding their way in. His proximity sent that electric hum through her again, stronger now. She could feel the heat radiating from him, smell that wild musk. Without thinking, she touched his arm, solid, warm, alive with restrained power. And me? Am I an intruder? He turned, their faces inches apart. Those golden eyes bored into hers, flecked with amber depths that pulled her in. No, he whispered, voice rough. You're something else. Something I didn't expect. Time slowed. Her hand lingered on his arm, the contact igniting sparks. Thorne's breath hitched, his gaze dropping to her lips for a fraction of a second. The air thickened with unspoken want, a tension coiling like a spring. But then another howl shattered the moment, closer, aggressive. Thorne pulled away, cursing under his breath. Stay inside. Lock the door if you have to. He grabbed a jacket from a hook, heading for the exit. Wait, where are you going? Panic edged her voice. The bond forming between them felt fragile, vital. To handle this, they won't come near if I make it clear. His eyes met hers one last time. A storm of emotions swirling, protectiveness, fear, longing. Trust me, Elara. Just for tonight. The door clicked shut behind him, leaving her alone with the crackling fire and her racing thoughts. Through the window, she watched his silhouette melt into the trees. Moments later, a shadow detached, a black wolf, bounding into the night with a powerful grace. Her heart stuttered. It was him. It had to be. But how? And why did the revelation feel less like terror and more like destiny calling? As the howls faded, replaced by an easy quiet, Elara sank back onto the couch. The cabin felt emptier without him, but the pull remained, a thread tying her to the mystery of Thorne Blackwood. Whatever secret he guarded, it was unraveling, drawing her deeper into a world she never knew existed. Chapter 4. Echoes of the moon. Elara paced the cabin's worn floorboards, her ankle protesting with each step, but the ache was nothing compared to the turmoil in her mind. The fire had dwindled to embers, casting long shadows that danced like phantoms. She replayed the scene outside the window, Thorne's form blurring into the black wolf's silhouette, vanishing into the night. It defied logic. Shapeshifters were myths, bedtime stories to scare children. Yet the evidence piled up, the matching wounds, the growls, those piercing eyes. Her rational side screamed hallucination, born of stress and injury, but her instincts whispered truth. The howls had ceased abruptly, replaced by an oppressive silence that pressed against the walls. She glanced at the door, half expecting it to burst open. What if he didn't come back? The thought sent a pang through her, not just fear for her safety, but a deeper worry for him. In the short time since their meeting, Thorne had become an anchor in her storm, his quiet strength a balm to her shattered heart. It was irrational, this pull, like gravity drawing her toward an unknown star. A scratch at the door made her freeze. Heart pounding, she approached, peering through the small window. The black wolf stood on the porch, rain-slicked fur gleaming under the emerging moon. Its golden eyes met hers, holding a weary intelligence. It whined softly, pawing at the wood. Thorne? She whispered, hand trembling on the latch. Logic warred with intuition. If she was wrong, opening the door could be deadly. But if she was right, she unlatched it, stepping back as the wolf padded inside. It shook off the water, droplets scattering like stars, then fixed her with that gaze. In the firelight, she saw fresh scratches on its flank, minor, but telling of a skirmish. The wolf circled once, then lay by the hearth, its massive form sighing as if exhausted. Elara knelt at a safe distance, her wedding gown, now a tattered ruin, around her. If that's you, show me, please. Her voice cracked, vulnerability spilling out. I need to know I'm not losing my mind. The air shimmered, a ripple like heat over pavement. Bones cracked softly, a sound that turned her stomach, fur receding as limbs elongated. In moments, Thorne crouched there, human once more, clad only in torn pants, his chest heaving. Sweat beaded on his brow, muscles taut from the shift. He looked up, eyes still glowing faintly, a mix of defiance and shame. Elara. His voice was hoarse, raw. You weren't supposed to see that. She backed against the wall, breath shallow. What are you? Not who, what? The question hung heavy, bridging the gap between worlds. Thorne rose slowly, grabbing a blanket to wrap around himself. He moved to the fire, stoking it back to life, avoiding her gaze. I'm complicated, born this way, part of an old lineage. Shifters, we call ourselves. Wolves bound by the moon, by blood. He glanced at her sidelong. The legends are real, hidden in places like this forest, shifters. The word echoed in her mind, conjuring images from books she'd read as a teen. Why hide it from me? Because humans, they fear what they don't understand, hunt it. I've lost too much to that. His tone darkened, fists clenching. My pack, the one I left, they enforced secrecy with claws. Those howls tonight, scouts from a rival clan, testing boundaries. They sensed you, an outsider, and came sniffing. Elara slid down the wall to sit, processing. Fear mingled with fascination, and beneath it, that insistent warmth. The wolf in the woods. You protected me. Why? He finally met her eyes, the gold softening to amber. I don't know. Instinct. You smelled different, like home, but not. A hesitant smile. Maybe fate's got a twisted sense of humor, throwing a runaway bride into my path. She laughed faintly, the sound breaking tension. Fate? After today, I'm not sure I believe in that anymore. But even as she said it, doubt crept in. Marcus's betrayal felt distant now, overshadowed by this revelation. Thorne's presence filled the room, magnetic and real. He crossed to her, kneeling at arm's length. Believe what you want, but you're safe here. I handled the scouts, sent them running. They won't bother us tonight. Us. The words sent a thrill through her. Up close, she noticed more. The way his skin seemed to hum with energy, the faint scars mapping stories of battles fought. Does it hurt? Changing? Every time. His admission was quiet, vulnerable. Like fire in your veins. But it's who I am. Can't fight the beast inside forever. Elara reached out tentatively, tracing a scar on his forearm. His skin was fever hot, and the contact sparked again that electric bond. He didn't pull away, instead covering her hand with his. You've got your own beasts, he murmured. That wedding. It scarred you deeper than claws could. Tears welled, unbidden. I thought I was building a life. Now it's all ruins. Not ruins. Just a detour. His thumb brushed her knuckles, gentle. The touch lingered, building heat. Their faces drew closer, breaths mingling. For a heartbeat, the world narrowed to them, the fire's crackle, the rain's patter, the pull of something ancient. But Thorne broke away first, standing with a shaky exhale. You should rest. Take the bed. I'll watch the door. Disappointment flickered, but so did relief. Too much, too soon. Thorne, thank you for trusting me with this. He nodded, eyes shadowed. Don't thank me yet. Secrets like mine come with dangers. And tomorrow, under the full moon, things get complicated. As she lay in his bed, his scent enveloping her, Elara stared at the ceiling. The bond deepened, a thread weaving tighter. But questions loomed. What dangers? And why did her heart race at the thought of facing them with him? Outside, a single howl rose, a warning, or perhaps a summons. The night wasn't over. Chapter 5. Tides of the night. Elara tossed in the bed. The sheets tangled around her like vines, Thorne's lingering scent a mix of pine and earth, both comforting and unsettling. Sleep evaded her, chased away by the revelations swirling in her mind. Shifters. A hidden world beneath the surface of Silver Ridge, one she'd stumbled into like a fool in a fairy tale. The howl from outside had faded, but its echo resonated in her chest, a reminder that dangers lurked beyond the cabin's walls. She glanced at the door where Thorne had stationed himself, his silhouette outlined by the dying firelight. He sat vigil, back against the wood, eyes closed but body alert, as if attuned to every rustle in the forest. Hours passed in uneasy quiet. The moon climbed higher, its silvery glow filtering through the curtains, casting ethereal patterns on the floor. Elara's thoughts drifted to Marcus, his betrayal now a dull ache compared to the vibrant mystery of Thorne. How could she feel this connected to a man she'd known for mere hours? It was as if an invisible thread bound them, tightening with each shared glance, each tentative touch. A soft groan from Thorne pulled her from her reverie. She sat up, peering over. He shifted uncomfortably, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool night. His hands clenched into fists, knuckles white. Thorne? She whispered, slipping from the bed. Her ankle throbbed, but she ignored it, patting closer. His eyes snapped open, glowing faintly in the dim light, a reminder of his other nature. Go back to sleep, Elara. It's nothing. It's not nothing. She knelt beside him, concern overriding caution. Up close, she saw the strain, veins bulging on his neck, breath coming in shallow pants. The moon. You mentioned it complicates things. Is this what you meant? He hesitated, then nodded curtly. Full moon's pull is strongest. The beast inside. It wants out. Controls harder. His voice was strained, laced with pain. I've managed alone for years. But tonight, with you here, with her here. The implication hung unspoken. Did her presence affect him? Amplify the struggle? She reached out, placing a hand on his arm. His skin burned like fever, but the contact steadied him or perhaps her. Tell me how to help. Thorne's gaze locked on hers, a storm of emotions brewing. Gratitude, fear, desire. Just talk to me. Distract me from the call. He leaned his head back against the door, closing his eyes again. Tell me about your life before this mess. Before Marcus, Elara settled beside him, their shoulders brushing a simple touch that sent warmth pooling in her veins. Before, I was in the city, working as a graphic designer. Busy, but empty. Parents divorced when I was a kid, messy, full of blame. I swore I'd build something stable. She laughed bitterly. Look how that turned out. He opened one eye, a half smile forming. Stability's overrated. Chases the wild out of life. His hand found hers, fingers intertwining slowly, deliberately. The gesture was intimate, grounding. Me, I was born into the pack life. Rigid rules, alpha dominance. My father was the leader, harsh, but fair. Until a rival challenged him. Lost everything that night. Family, home. Elara squeezed his hand, feeling the scars beneath his skin, literal and metaphorical. I'm sorry. That sounds brutal. It was. Ran for years, lone wolf. His thumb traced circles on her palm, the motion hypnotic. Thought I'd never trust again. But you crash into my world, all fire and fragility, and suddenly, solitude feels like a cage. Her heart stuttered. The air between them thickened, charged with unspoken confessions. She leaned closer, drawn by that magnetic pull. Thorne, earlier, when we almost kissed, he finished, voice low, rough. His free hand cupped her cheek, calluses gentle against her skin. Moonlight highlighted the gold in his eyes, making them shimmer. Time suspended as their lips hovered inches apart, breaths mingling. But a sharp pain twisted his features, and he pulled back with a growl, doubling over. Damn it. The pull's stronger. He clutched his side, where the wound from earlier seeped anew, as if the moon aggravated it. Elara's worry surged. Let me see. She tugged at his shirt, revealing the gash red and inflamed. This isn't healing right. Do shifters heal fast? Usually, he grunted. But this one's from a rival's claw, silver-tipped. Slows us down. He met her gaze. Vulnerability raw. Elara, you should leave at dawn. This world's not for you. Dangers like this, they follow me. Leave? The idea stung more than expected. After what you've shown me, told me. She tore a strip from her already ruined gown, pressing it to the wound. Their proximity reignited the spark, her hands on his bare skin sending shivers through both. I'm not running. Not again. Thorne's expression softened, a mix of awe and torment. You're braver than you know. He covered her hand with his, holding it against him. In that moment, the bond deepened, a silent promise forming amid the chaos. As the night waned, they talked more, shared dreams, fears, laughs over small things. The moon's grip eased with dawn's approach, Thorne's pain subsiding. But outside, a new sound stirred, footsteps crunching leaves, voices murmuring. Thorne tensed, ears perking like the wolf he was. They're back, the rivals, and they're not alone. Elara's pulse raced. Whatever came next, she was in it with him now. The secret world beckoned, fraught with peril. But so too did the promise of something profound. Chapter 6. Bonds in the breaking dawn. Footsteps grew louder, crunching through the underbrush like predators closing in. Thorne sprang to his feet, his body coiling with tension, the remnants of the moon's pull still etching lines of strain on his face. Elara's heart hammered as she stood beside him, peering through the cabin's small window. Shadows moved among the trees, figures, humanoid but with an unnatural grace. Their eyes reflecting the fading moonlight like distant stars. Stay back, Thorne whispered. His voice, a low rumble that vibrated through her. He positioned himself between her and the door, protective instincts flaring. But beneath the ferocity, she sensed his exhaustion, the silver-tipped wound sapping his strength. The night's battles taking their toll. Who are they? Elara asked, her hand instinctively reaching for his arm. The contact grounded them both, that electric hum pulsing stronger, as if their connection amplified in the face of threat. Rivals from the old pack. Led by Ronan, he's the alpha now, after he took down my father. Thorne's jaw tightened, a flicker of old rage in his golden eyes. They want control of these woods, and they don't like lone wolves, or humans meddling. Humans. The word stung, a reminder of the chasm between their worlds. Yet as the voices drew nearer, gruff murmurs, a laugh that chilled her blood, Elara felt no urge to flee. Instead, a fierce resolve bloomed. I'm not meddling. I'm here. With you. Thorne turned, surprise softening his features. For a moment, the danger outside faded, and it was just them, inches apart in the dim cabin. Elara, you don't know what you're saying. This could get ugly. Then let me help. She grabbed a poker from the fireplace, its iron weight reassuring in her grip. It was absurd, a human woman in a torn wedding gown wielding a makeshift weapon against shifters, but the fire in her eyes matched his. A reluctant smile tugged at his lips. Brave little human. He leaned in, forehead briefly touching hers, a gesture intimate and affirming. The bond thrummed, warm and insistent, like a heartbeat shared. Stay close. If it goes south, run for the ravine. There's a path to town. Before she could protest, the door rattled with a heavy knock. Thorne Blackwood. A voice boomed, deep and commanding. We know you're harboring an outsider. Open up, or we'll come in. Thorne growled, the sound primal, echoing from his chest. He cracked the door, blocking the view with his broad frame. Elara peeked over his shoulder. 3 men stood on the porch, tall and muscled, with the same feral aura. The leader, Ronan, had silver-streaked hair and eyes like cold steel, scars mapping his face like a warrior's badge. What do you want, Ronan? Thorne snarled, body language screaming defiance. Ronan's gaze flicked past him, landing on Elara. A smirk curled his lips. Heard you found a stray. Human? No less. Pack law says outsiders are fair game, especially if they're bonded. Bonded. The word hung heavy, laced with implication. Elara's breath caught. What did he mean? Thorne stiffened, his hand reaching back to squeeze hers, a silent warning. She's under my protection, Thorne stated, voice steady but edged with threat. Leave now, and no blood spills. Ronan laughed, a bark that raised hackles. Protection? From a rogue like you? The moon revealed your weakness tonight. That silver claw did its work. He stepped closer, nostrils flaring as if scenting the air. And her. She carries your mark already? Interesting. Fate's cruel, pairing a wolf with a fragile thing. Mark? Elara's mind raced. She glanced at Thorne, questions burning, but he didn't meet her eyes. The rivals shifted, tension coiling like a storm about to break. Last chance, Ronan warned. Hand her over. Rejoin the pack. Or we take what we want. Thorne's response was a blur of motion. He shoved the door wide, lunging at Ronan with inhuman speed. Claws extended, partial shift. Elara realized with a gasp as he tackled the alpha to the ground. The other charged, and chaos erupted. Elara swung the poker, connecting with one's knee. He yelped, staggering, but recovered fast, eyes glowing as he advanced. Stay back, she shouted, adrenaline surging. Thorne roared nearby, trading blows with Ronan, fur rippling along his arms. The fight spilled into the cabin, furniture splintering. Elara dodged a swipe, heart pounding, but the rival grabbed her arm, nails digging like talons. Pain flared, but so did anger from her betrayal, her shattered life. Now this. She kneed him hard, breaking free. Thorne appeared like a shadow, slamming the attacker against the wall. Don't touch her. His voice was a beast's growl, eyes fully golden. With a final punch, the rival slumped, Ronan, bloodied but snarling, back toward the door. This isn't over, Blackwood. The bond won't save you or her, he whistled, and his pack retreated into the trees, shadows swallowing them. Panting, Thorne slammed the door, leaning against it. Blood trickled from new cuts, mixing with sweat. Elara rushed to him, hands checking injuries. Are you okay? He nodded, but winced. They'll regroup. We can't stay. His eyes met hers, soft with something deeper, admiration, perhaps love's first spark. You fought like a wolf. She smiled weakly, bandagging a gash. Had to. Couldn't lose you. The words slipped out, raw and true. Their hands lingered, the touch electric, deepening the unspoken connection. But Ronan's words echoed. Bonded, mark, fate. Thorne. What did he mean? About a bond? He hesitated, gaze shadowed. It's complicated. An old legend. Soul bonds, fated mates. Rare, powerful. I felt it when I found you in the woods. Like you were meant for me. fated mates. The revelation hit like a wave, stirring hope and fear. Was this why the pull was so strong? And the mark? Scent marking. Instinctual. Happens when the bond forms. He touched her neck gently, where no visible mark showed, but she felt a warmth there. It means you're mine, and I'm yours. But it paints a target. Elara's world tilted again. Fate, after Marcus's betrayal? Yet it felt right, inevitable. She leaned into him, their foreheads touching once more. Then we'll face it together. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of gold, they gathered supplies. But the forest stirred anew, distant howls signaling more threats. The bond strengthened, but so did the dangers, pulling them toward an uncertain path. Chapter 7. Trails of Fate. Dawn's light filtered through the canopy, casting a golden haze over the forest as Thorne and Elara slipped away from the cabin. The air was crisp, laced with the scent of pine and damp earth, but tension hung heavy like fog. Thorne led the way, a backpack slung over his shoulder packed with essentials: water, food, a first aid kit, and a worn map of the woods. Elara followed closely, her tattered gown hiked up for easier movement, her ankles still tender but bolstered by adrenaline and determination. The fight with Ronan's pack had left bruises physical and emotional, but it had also forged something unbreakable between them. We'll head north, to the old ruins, Thorne said softly, his voice carrying the weight of strategy. It's neutral ground outside pack territories. We can regroup there, figure out our next move. The word warmed Elara despite the chill. She glanced at him, noting the way his muscles rippled under his shirt, the alert tilt of his head as he scanned for threats. The bond Ronan mentioned pulls between them, a living thing that made her hyper-aware of his presence, his steady heartbeat, the subtle shift in his scent when worry creased his brow. And after that, we can't run forever. Thorne paused at a stream, kneeling to refill their canteens. One step at a time. The bond. It complicates things. Packs see it as a weakness or a threat. Ronan won't stop until he claims these lands or eliminates rivals. Eliminates. The words sent a shiver down her spine. She knelt beside him, their hands brushing as she passed him the canteen. The spark ignited again, familiar now, but no less intense. Tell me more about this bond. Fated mates, it sounds like something from a romance novel. How does it work? He met her gaze, golden eyes reflecting the rippling water. A hesitation flickered as if weighing how much to reveal. It's ancient magic, tied to our bloodlines. Wolves recognize their mate by scent, by instinct. It's not just attraction, it's destiny. Shared strength, emotions, even thoughts in time. He touched her hand deliberately, lacing their fingers. When I found you in the storm, it hit me like lightning. You smelled like rain and wildflowers, but deeper like part of me I'd lost. Elara's breath caught. Destiny. After Marcus's fickle heart, the idea was intoxicating, terrifying. And for humans, does it feel the same? Rarely happens with outsiders. But yes, if the bond takes. His thumb caressed her skin, sending warmth spiraling. Do you feel it? That pull? She nodded, leaning closer. From the start, like I've known you forever. The stream babbled beside them, a soothing counterpoint to her racing pulse. In this moment, away from immediate danger, vulnerability surfaced. Thorne, after everything with Marcus, trust doesn't come easy. But with you, it does. Why? Because it's real, he murmured, his free hand cupping her face. Their lips hovered close, the air charged. Time stretched, the forest holding its breath. Then, gently, he closed the distance, a kiss soft as dawn, tentative at first, then deepening with restrained hunger. Elara melted into it, hands tangling in his hair, the bond flaring like firelight. It was more than passion. It was healing, a balm to her wounds. They broke apart, foreheads touching, breaths mingling. Thorne's eyes glowed faintly, a sign of the beast within stirring. Elara, you're awakening parts of me I thought were buried. She smiled, tracing his jaw. Good, because you're doing the same for me. But doubt crept in. Ronan said, I carry your mark. Is there more to it? Dangers I don't know? Thorne pulled back slightly, expression clouding. The mark protects you from other shifters sensing you as prey, but it also binds us. If one falls, he trailed off, jaw tightening. Packs have rituals, curses tied to bonds. Ronan's clan believes in purity, no human mates. They might try to sever it. The implication chilled her. How? Old ways. A ritual under the blood moon. Painful, deadly. He stood, helping her up, his grip firm. That's why we move. I won't let them touch you. As they pressed on, the path narrowed, trees closing in like sentinels. Conversation flowed easier now, layers peeling back. Thorne shared fragments of his past, a childhood under the moon's watchful eye, pack hunts that bonded brothers, the betrayal when Ronan challenged his father. I was next in line, he admitted, voice low. But I refused to kill for power. Exiled myself instead. Elara opened up too, her parents' divorce shattering her illusions of love, her move to Silver Ridge, chasing stability that crumbled. I thought Marcus was safe, but safe isn't alive. She squeezed his hand. This with you feels alive. Thorne stopped at a clearing, pulling her into an embrace. You make me feel human again. Not just the wolf. His lips brushed her temple, the gesture tender, deepening their connection, but suspense lingered. As they crested a hill, the ruins came into view, ancient stone arches overgrown with vines, whispering of forgotten lore. Thorne tensed, nostrils flaring. Something's off, sense wrong. A figure emerged from the shadows, a woman, lithe and fierce, with eyes like embers. Thorne Blackwood. We've been waiting. Elara's grip tightened on him. Friend or foe? The woman's gaze flicked to her, assessing the bond. The Alpha sends his regards. Time to choose sides. The ruins held secrets, and as the confrontation loomed, Elara realized the bond's true test was just beginning. Chapter 8. Shadows of Allegiance. With woman's words hung in the air like a challenge, her ember-like eyes flickering with unspoken intent. She stepped fully into the light of the ruins, her form athletic and poised, clad in practical leather that blended with the forest's palette. Vines clung to the ancient stones behind her, as if the ruins themselves were alive, guarding secrets long buried. Thorne's hand tightened around Elara's, his body shifting subtly into a defensive stance, muscles coiled like a spring ready to unleash. Who are you? Thorne demanded, his voice a low growl that echoed off the crumbling arches. And which Alpha? Ronan doesn't send messengers, he sends claws. The woman smirked, crossing her arms. Her hair was a wild cascade of dark waves, streaked with silver that caught the morning sun. Name's Lyra, and no, not Ronan, though he'd love to claim these ruins. She glanced at Elara, her gaze sharpening on their intertwined hands, the visible sign of their bond. I'm from the Elder Pack, the ones who remember the old ways. Silas sent me. He senses the bond you carry. It's disruptive. Elara felt Thorne's pulse quicken through their contact, a mix of wariness and curiosity. Silas, she'd heard Thorne mention the name in passing, an old mentor from his youth, before the exile. But disruptive? The word stirred unease, amplifying the mysteries of the bond. What hidden costs did it carry? Silas, Thorne echoed, tension easing fractionally. Haven't heard from him in years. What does he want with us? Lyra leaned against a moss-covered pillar, her posture casual but eyes alert. The bond's awakening ripples through the packs. Fated mates human and shifter, it's rare, powerful. Some see it as a threat to purity, like Ronan. Others, like Silas, as a sign. Prophecy stuff, a union that could heal old rifts or shatter them. She paused, studying Elara. You're the key, human. But you're unmarked. Fully? The ritual's incomplete. Incomplete? Elara's free hand instinctively touched her neck, where Thorne had indicated the scent mark. The warmth there pulsed faintly, but now she wondered what more was there. Thorne's grip tightened, a silent reassurance, but his silence spoke volumes. Another secret layered beneath the surface. We don't need pack politics, Thorne said firmly. We're handling this our way. Lyra chuckled, a sound like wind through leaves. Alone? With Ronan hunting you? Silas offers sanctuary. But there's a price, join us. Complete the bond under our watch. It strengthens you both, protects against severance. Severance. The threat Ronan had hinted at. Elara's stomach twisted. What happens if it's severed? Lyra's expression darkened. Pain, madness. For the shifter, loss of control, eternal beast form, or worse, death. For the human, echoes of the bond linger, a hollow ache that never fades. She eyed Thorne. You've felt the pull strengthening, haven't you? The moon's curse amplifies it. Thorne's jaw clenched, avoiding Elara's questioning gaze. Curse? He'd mentioned the moon's pull, but not a curse. Suspense coiled tighter. What was he hiding? We're not deciding now, he said. Tell Silas we'll consider it. Lyra nodded, tossing him a small pouch. Herbs for your wounds. And a warning. Ronan's scouts are circling. Move fast. With that, she melted back into the shadows, leaving them alone amid the ruins. Elara turned to Thorne as soon as she was gone, pulling her hand free to face him squarely. A curse? Incomplete bond? Thorne, you have to tell me everything. No more secrets, he sighed, running a hand through his hair, the gesture weary. They settled on a fallen stone, the ruins quiet enveloping them like a confessional. The bond isn't just fate, it's tied to shifter lore. My bloodline carries a curse from an ancient war. Under the full moon, if the bond isn't sealed with a ritual bite, the beast takes over. Permanently. His voice dropped, laced with shame. I've resisted it alone, but with you, it's harder. The pull intensifies everything: emotions, instincts, a ritual bite. The idea sent a thrill of fear and intrigue through her. And if we complete it? Shared power. You gain strength, healing. I gain balance. But it's irreversible. You'd be tied to this world forever. His golden eyes searched hers, vulnerable. I didn't want to scare you away. After Marcus, you deserve choice. Elara's heart ached at his protectiveness. She scooted closer, their thighs brushing, the contact reigniting the spark. Choice? This feels like the first real one I've had. She took his hand again, tracing the scars. Tell me about the curse. How did it start? Thorne leaned into her touch, his free arm wrapping around her waist, pulling her against him. The intimacy built slowly, a warmth spreading. Ancestors betrayed a witch ally. She cursed the alphas, eternal struggle between man and wolf, only broken by true mates. He nuzzled her hair, breath warm on her skin. I thought I was doomed to solitude. Then you appeared, like the curse's answer. Their lips met again, deeper this time, fueled by revelations. Elara's hands explored his chest, feeling the steady thrum of his heart mirroring hers. The kiss lingered, a promise amid uncertainty, deepening their emotional tether. When they parted, breathless, she whispered, I'm not afraid of you or this. But Thorne's eyes shadowed. You should be. The ritual requires trust, total surrender. And if Ronan interferes, a distant howl interrupted, closer than before. Thorne stood alert. We need to keep moving. Silas's offer. It might be our only shot. As they ventured deeper into the ruins, seeking a hidden path, Elara felt the bond evolve stronger, more urgent. But Lyra's words echoed. Prophecy, rifts. What if the bond held darker secrets? Ahead, a stone altar gleamed, etched with symbols that seemed to pulse. The true test approached. Chapter 9. Rituals of the Heart. Stone altar loomed before them, its surface etched with intricate symbols that seemed to writhe in the dappled sunlight filtering through the canopy. Vines snaked around its base, as if nature itself guarded the relic from prying eyes. Elara's fingers tightened in Thorne's grasp as they approached, the air thick with an ancient energy that hummed against her skin. Lyra's departure had left a vacuum, filled now by the weight of decisions unspoken. The prophecy, the ritual bite, the curse, each revelation layered suspense like shadows in the ruins, hinting at depths to Thorne's secret world she had yet to plumb. What is this place? Elara whispered, her voice barely disturbing the hush. The symbols glowed faintly, responding to their proximity or perhaps to the bond pulsing between them. Thorne's gaze traced the carvings, a mix of reverence and reluctance. An old mating altar. From the time when shifters sealed bonds under the stars, invoking the ancestors' blessings, he released her hand to brush moss from a rune, his touch lingering as if drawing strength from the stone. Silas's pack still honors it. Ronan's. They'd destroy it for power. Elara stepped closer, the pull of the altar mirroring the magnetic draw to Thorne. She could feel it now, the bond's tendrils weaving deeper emotions echoing faintly, like whispers in her mind. His worry brushed against her thoughts, a subtle undercurrent. And us? Could we complete it here? He turned, golden eyes locking on hers with intensity that stole her breath. We could. But it's not just a bite, it's surrender. You'd share my curse, my lifespan. The beast's rage, the moon's madness, his voice roughened, vulnerability cracking through. I won't bind you without knowing all. There's more to my secret. The curse isn't just struggle. It demands a price. If the mate rejects it, the wolf consumes the man, rejects it. The word hung heavy, stirring suspense. What if she couldn't handle his world? Thorne's guarded expression hinted at personal scars, perhaps a past attempt, a lost love. The thought twisted in her gut, jealousy mingling with compassion. Tell me, she urged, closing the distance. Her hands rested on his chest, feeling the rapid beat beneath. No more holding back. If we're fated, I need the truth. Thorne exhaled shakily, pulling her into his arms. The embrace was fierce yet tender, his chin resting atop her head. Before exile, there was someone, not a true mate, but pack arranged. I tried the ritual. She couldn't bear the shift's pain, rejected me mid-ceremony. The curse lashed out, nearly turned me feral. His hold tightened, as if anchoring himself. I swore never again. But you're different. The bond sings true. Elara's heart ached for his pain, the isolation he'd endured. She tilted her face up, brushing her lips against his jaw, a soft, reassuring kiss that deepened as he responded. Their mouths met with slow urgency, tongues dancing in a rhythm that mirrored their souls' entanglement. Heat built, not just passion, but emotional fusion, the bond flaring brighter. She tasted his fear, his hope, and poured back her own resolve. Budding love, pulling back slightly, she whispered, I'm not her. I choose this. You. Her fingers traced his neck, where veins pulsed with restrained power. Show me how. Thorne's eyes darkened, desire warring with caution. Not yet. The ritual needs the moon's peak tonight. And preparation. He guided her to sit on the altar's edge, kneeling before her like a supplicant. It starts with sharing blood, words of binding. But first, trust. He drew a small knife from his boot, pricking his palm. Blood welled, dark and rich. Mix ours. A vow. Elara hesitated only a moment before offering her hand. The sting was brief, but as their palms pressed together, a surge rushed through her, visions flickering. Thorne as a pup under starry skies, his father's fall, lonely hunts. Emotions flooded, his loneliness echoing hers, healing in tandem. You're in my head, she gasped, mingling with intimacy. And you in mine. He smiled faintly, bandagging her hand with care. The bond grows. By tonight, we'll be one if you still want. They spent the afternoon in the ruins' shelter, conversation weaving deeper bonds. Thorne shared lore, how the curse originated from a betrayed moon goddess, afflicting alphas until true love redeemed them. Elara confessed her fears of losing herself in his world, of Marcus's shadow lingering. But with you, I feel found, she admitted, head on his shoulder as they watched birds flit overhead. Thorne's arm encircled her, his touch tracing lazy patterns on her back. You heal me, Elara. The beast quiets near you. Their closeness built tension, bodies aligning in subtle ways, a brush of thighs, a shared breath. The slow burn ignited sparks, promising more under the moon, but suspense mounted. As dusk approached, distant rustles stirred eyes watching from the tree line. Thorne's ears twitched, senses sharpening. We're not alone. Ronan's closing in. Elara stood, resolve stealing. Then we prepare, together. As night fell, the altar's symbols glowed brighter, calling them to the ritual. But a howl shattered the peace, Ronan's challenge, laced with malice. The bond thrummed with urgency, but hidden truths lingered. What if the curse demanded more than Thorne revealed? The climax beckoned, fraught with risk and revelation. Chapter 10. Vows. Under Seagoth moon crusted the treetops, bathing the ruins in a silvery glow that made the altar's symbols pulse like living veins. Elara stood before it, her heart a drumbeat echoing the bond's rhythm, Thorne's blood still tingling in her veins from their shared vow. The visions lingered, fragments of his life now woven into her soul, deepening the intimacy they'd built. Yet suspense clung like mist, the curse's full price, hinted but not fully unveiled, shadowed his eyes. What if rejection wasn't the only risk? What darker toll did it exact? Thorne circled the altar, scattering herbs from Lyra's pouch in a protective ring. His movements were fluid, wolf-like, but fatigue etched his features, the silver wound sapping his vitality, the approaching threat from Ronan weighing heavy. The ritual begins with words, he explained, voice low and reverent. Ancient odes to bind our essences. Then, the bite. It seals the curse's break or amplifies it if doubt creeps in. Elara nodded, stepping into the circle. The air hummed, charged with magic that raised goose flesh on her arms. I'm ready. No doubts. But inwardly, questions swirled. His past rejection, had it left scars beyond the physical? And the prophecy Lyra mentioned, a union to heal or shatter. What if she was the shatter? He took her hands, pulling her close. Their bodies aligned, heat building where they touched. Elara Voss, faded light in my darkness, he began, the words formal yet laced with emotion. I offer my beast, my man, my eternity. Do you accept? Her voice steadied, drawing from the bond's strength. Thorne Blackwood, guardian of shadows, I accept. My heart, my humanity yours. As she spoke, a wind stirred, rustling leaves like whispers of approval. The bond surged, emotions flooding, his eye at her courage, her wonder at his vulnerability. It was more than words, a soul-deep fusion. Thorne's eyes glowed brighter, the gold intensifying. He leaned in, lips capturing hers in a kiss that transcended passion, raw, consuming, a prelude to the bite. Elara's hands roamed his back, fingers digging into muscle as if to anchor him. The world narrowed to them, the taste of salt and wildness, the press of bodies igniting slow-burning fire. When they parted, breathless, he nuzzled her neck, breath hot against the mark's warmth. This will hurt, he murmured, regret threading his tone. But after, we'll be whole. Before she could respond, a savage howl split the night. Ronan's pack, closer now, their presence shattering the sanctity. Thorne tensed, head whipping toward the tree line. Shadows detached, 5 figures, eyes gleaming, encircling the ruins. Ronan led, his form partially shifted, claws extended, interrupting the honeymoon. Ronan sneered, voice a guttural taunt. The bond's scent is thick but unfinished, perfect for severance. Elara's pulse raced, fear mingling with defiance. Thorne positioned himself before her, a growl rumbling deep. You won't touch her, Ronan laughed, circling slowly. Oh, but I will. The curse you bear, Blackwood, it's not just moon madness. It's blood debt. Your father's betrayal cursed the line, demanding sacrifice. A human mate, she'll pay it. Sacrifice. The word unveiled more suspense. Thorne's secret deepened. Elara glanced at him, betrayal flickering. What does he mean? Thorne's face paled, avoidance cracking. The curse. To break it fully, it requires letting go. A piece of the mate's humanity, strength, longevity, or memories. His voice broke. I didn't tell you because I thought we could defy it. Find another way. Hurt stabbed her, but the bond tempered it with understanding, his fear of losing her. You should have trusted me. Ronan's pack advanced, snarls echoing. No time for lovers' quarrels. Surrender her, or we force the severance. Rip the bond, claim the power. Thorne shifted partially, fur rippling along his arms, claws lengthening. Over my corpse, he lunged at Ronan, the clash, explosive bodies colliding in a blur of fangs and fury. Elara grabbed a loose stone from the altar, heart pounding. The bond fed her flashes, Thorne's pain, his determination. She swung at an approaching shifter, connecting with a thud that sent him staggering. But another tackled her, pinning her against the altar. Claws grazed her skin, drawing blood. No, Thorne roared, breaking free from Ronan to hurl the attacker off. He scooped her up, setting her behind him. Blood streaked his side, the silver wound reopening. Elara, run. The path north, I'm not leaving you. She pressed against him, their bond a lifeline. In the chaos, emotions peaked, fear for each other forging unbreakable steel. We finish this, together. Ronan charged again, but Thorne met him midair, the fight savage. Elara chanted the oaths under her breath, willing the ritual's magic to aid. The altar glowed brighter, a barrier flickering to life, pushing back the pack slightly. As blows rained, Thorne weakened, the curse's toll evident. Ronan pinned him, claws at his throat. Yield, rogue. The bond ends now. Elara's scream pierced the night. She rushed forward, placing herself between them. Take me instead. Sacrifice, the word echoed Ronan's taunt. But in her heart, it was love's choice. Thorne's eyes widened in horror. Elara. No, Ronan hesitated, intrigue flashing. The moment stretched, suspense taut. But a new howl rose distant, multiplying. Reinforcements? Silas's pack? The battle paused, uncertainty rippling. Thorne seized the opening, throwing Ronan off. We end this ritual, now. As the moon peaked, the bond thrummed with urgency, secrets unraveling toward a breaking point. But whose sacrifice would it demand? Chapter 11. Moonlit reckoning. The moon hung full and unforgiving above the ruins, its light bathing the altar in a spectral glow that seemed to pulse in time with Elara's racing heart. Thorne's arm encircled her waist, steadying her as they stood defiant before Ronan, whose claws gleamed with malicious intent. The air crackled with the altar's magic, the protective barrier flickering but holding just barely against the rival pack's advance. The howls in the distance grew louder, a chorus of allies or enemies, adding to the suspense that coiled like a living thing. Elara's impulsive offer to sacrifice herself echoed in her mind. A reckless act, born of love and desperation. But Thorne's horrified expression told her the cost was higher than she'd grasped. No sacrifice, Thorne growled, his voice a blend of man and beast. Eyes blazing gold as he faced Ronan. You want blood? Take mine. His body trembled. The silver wound seeping, sapping his strength. Yet his resolve burned brighter than the moon. Ronan's laugh was a jagged blade. Noble, but useless. The curse demands her price, Blackwood. Break the bond, or I'll carve it out. He lunged, claws slashing. But the altar's barrier flared, repelling him with a pulse of light. He snarled, pacing like a caged predator, his pack circling. Eyes glinting with hunger, Elara clung to Thorne. The bond flooding her with his emotions, fear for her, rage at Ronan, and a bone-deep guilt over the curse's hidden toll. Memories. The word haunted her. Would sealing the bond strip away her past, her pain? Yes, but also her identity? Yet the alternative, losing him, was unthinkable. Their connection had grown from spark to inferno, each touch, each shared secret weaving them tighter. She pressed closer, feeling his heartbeat sync with hers. We do this now, she whispered. Finish the ritual. Thorne's gaze snapped to her, torn between awe and terror. Elara, the cost, I choose you. Her voice was firm, cutting through his protest. Whatever it takes. She cupped his face, thumbs brushing his stubbled cheeks, grounding them both. The bond surged, a tide of shared strength, his resolve bolstering hers. Their lips met briefly, a desperate kiss that poured love into the chaos, sealing her decision. He nodded, guiding her to the altar's center. The symbols glowed brighter, responding to their intent. Repeat after me, he instructed, voice steady despite the encroaching threat. By moon and blood, I bind my soul. Elara echoed the words, her voice trembling but resolute. By moon and blood, I bind my soul. The air thickened, magic swirling like mist, wrapping them in a cocoon of light. Thorne's hand found hers, their mingled blood from the earlier vow igniting a spark. Visions flashed again, his childhood laughter, her city nights, their futures entwining. Ronan roared, slamming against the barrier, cracks, spiderwebbing its surface. You can't escape the debt. His pack joined, claws and teeth testing the weakening shield. Thorne ignored them, his focus on Elara. He lifted her chin, exposing her neck where the scent mark pulsed. This is it. No turning back. His voice softened, raw with love. I'll carry you through. Do it. She breathed, trust drowning fear. His lips brushed her skin, a tender prelude. Then his teeth, sharper now, wolf-like, pierced gently. Pain flared, sharp and hot, but the bond flooded her with warmth, dulling it. Light erupted from the altar, engulfing them. Elara gasped as sensations poured in. Thorne's strength, his wild essence, her own resilience amplified. But beneath it, a tug-a-pull at her memories, the curse's price looming. Images flickered, her parents' divorce, Marcus's betrayal. They blurred, threatening to dissolve, but she clung to them, to herself. No, she whispered, gripping Thorne's shoulders. I keep who I am. The bond pulsed in response, as if her will reshape the curse's demand. Instead of memories, she felt a shift, her human fragility yielding, strength surging, senses sharpening. Thorne pulled back, blood on his lips, eyes wide with relief. You're still you, he murmured, lacing his tone. The barrier shattered as the ritual completed, but the altar's light held, a shield born of their union. Ronan charged, but new howls erupted. Silas's pack, bursting from the trees. Lyra led them, her form half shifted, tackling a rival. Finish it, Blackwood, she shouted. Chaos reigned, fur and claws clashing, but the bond's power surged through Thorne. He shifted fully, a magnificent black wolf, and met Ronan head-on. Elara stood tall, her new strength pulsing. She grabbed a fallen branch, joining the fray not as prey, but as partner. She swung at a rival, protecting Thorne's flank. Their eyes met mid-battle, a silent vow, together, unbreakable. Ronan fell under Thorne's jaws, wounded but alive, retreating with his pack as Silas's wolves pressed. The elder alpha, gray-furred and regal, nodded to Thorne. The prophecy holds. The bond heals. As dawn broke, the ruins quieted. Thorne shifted back, bloodied but whole, pulling Elara into his arms. You're safe. We're whole. His kiss was fierce, sealing their victory, their love, but suspense lingered. The curse's price had shifted. What had she given? Her senses hummed, sharper, wilder. Was she more than human now? As Silas approached, his gaze hinted at answers and new challenges yet to come. Chapter 12. Dawn of New Bonds. Ruins stood silent under the fading moonlight, the air heavy with the scent of blood and pine. Elara leaned into Thorne's embrace, her body thrumming with newfound energy, her senses sharper than ever before. The ritual bite had sealed their bond, weaving their souls into a single tapestry, but it had left her changed, stronger, wilder, yet still herself. The curse's price had been paid, not in memories but in a shift she couldn't yet name. Suspense lingered like a shadow. What was she becoming? And what secrets did Silas, now approaching with a measured gait, hold about their fated union? Thorne's arms tightened around her, his breath warm against her temple. His wounds, though still raw, seemed less dire, as if the bond's completion had bolstered his healing. "You're incredible," he murmured, voice thick with awe. "You faced the curse, Ronan, everything, and chose us." His lips brushed her forehead, a gesture so tender it deepened the warmth pooling in her chest. Their connection pulsed, a living current of shared strength and love. Yet questions gnawed at her, the prophecy, the bond's full implications, and the faint wildness stirring in her veins. Silas stopped before them, his gray hair streaked with silver, eyes ancient yet sharp. Lyra flanked him, her ember-like gaze softened by respect. The elder pack's wolves circled the ruins, keeping watch as the last of Ronan's pack vanished into the dawn's haze. "The bond holds," Silas said, voice resonant with authority. "The prophecy spoke of a union to mend old wounds. You've defied the curse's darkest edge, but the path ahead isn't clear." Elara's grip on Thorne tightened. "What do you mean?" "The ritual worked. Ronan's gone for now." Her voice carried a new edge, a confidence born of the fight and the bond. But her heightened senses caught a flicker in Silas's expression, guarded, knowing. "More secrets." Thorne stepped forward, keeping Elara close. "Speak plain, Silas. No riddles. What's the cost we haven't seen?" Silas's gaze flicked to Elara, assessing. "The bond has awakened her blood. She's no longer fully human nor shifter yet. A liminal state. The curse reshaped its price, strength for fragility, but the transition isn't complete. Under the next moon, her change will manifest or consume her. Consume her." The words sent a chill through Elara, suspense tightening its grip. She felt it now, a faint hum in her bones, like a distant howl calling from within. Was she becoming like Thorne? Or something else entirely? His hand found hers, grounding her panic. "We'll face it together," he vowed, his voice a lifeline. "No matter what," Lyra interjected, softer now. "Silas offers sanctuary. Our pack's lands are warded, safe from Ronan's reach. You'd learn to control it, Elara. And Thorne, you'd have a place again." Thorne's jaw tightened, old wounds surfacing. "I left pack life for a reason. Rules, hierarchies, I won't chain her to that." His gaze softened on Elara. "But I won't decide for you." The choice loomed, heavy with consequence. Elara's life in Silver Ridge Marcus, the wedding, her human world felt like a distant dream. Thorne was her reality now, their bond, a beacon in the chaos. But sanctuary meant stability, answers to her changing nature. Staying rogue meant freedom and danger. "I need time," she said, voice steady despite the turmoil. "To understand what I'm becoming." Silas nodded, handing Thorne a carved amulet, its surface etched with runes. "Wear this. It'll ease the transition's pull. Find us by the next moon if you choose our path." He turned to leave, Lyra and the pack following, their forms melting into the forest. Alone again, Thorne and Elara sank onto a moss-covered stone, the altar's glow fading with the moon. Silence stretched, comfortable yet charged. She traced the amulet in his hand, her fingers lingering on his. "You didn't tell me the bond could change me," she said, not accusing but seeking. Thorne's eyes shadowed with guilt. "I didn't know. Not fully. The curse is unpredictable, each bond unique. I feared pushing you away." He lifted her chin, their gazes locking. "But I see you, Elara. Human, shifter, whatever you become, you're mine. And I'm yours." The words ignited a slow burn, their bond deepening with each shared truth. She leaned in, kissing him softly, lips lingering as emotions poured through, his protectiveness, her trust, their shared defiance. The kiss deepened, hands roaming hers in his hair, his along her waist, building heat that promised more. When they parted, breathless, she whispered, "We'll figure this out together." They rose, gathering their supplies, the ruins now a quiet witness to their union. As they trekked north, the forest whispered secrets, rustles hinting at unseen eyes. Elara's senses sharpened further. She caught the scent of distant wolves, the faint pulse of Thorne's heartbeat. The bond fed her glimpses of his thoughts, love, fear of losing her, resolve to protect, but suspense lingered. A twig snapped nearby to deliver it. Thorne froze, nostrils flaring. "We're being tracked," he whispered. Not Ronan's pack, something older, wilder. Elara's hand tightened on the amulet. The forest's secrets deepened, and her own transformation loomed. As they moved toward an uncertain future, one truth held: their bond was their strength. But the final test awaited under the next moon's gaze. Chapter 13. Home in the Wildly Forest closed around Elara and Thorne like a living shroud, its ancient trees whispering secrets as they trekked north. The amulet hung heavy around Elara's neck, its runes warm against her skin, a faint pulse syncing with the bond that thrummed between them. Her senses, sharpened by the ritual, caught every rustle, every distant scent, pine, earth, and something musky, ancient, trailing them. Thorne's warning about being tracked lingered, a shadow of suspense that deepened the forest's menace. Yet his presence anchored her, their bond, a beacon of warmth amid uncertainty. What was she becoming? The hum in her bones grew stronger, a wild call she both feared and craved. Thorne led with quiet purpose, his golden eyes scanning the underbrush, one hand brushing hers with deliberate tenderness. Each touch sparked, deepening their connection, a slow burn of love and trust forged through battles and vows. The ruins, Silas's offer, and Ronan's defeat felt like a lifetime ago, though only hours had passed. Dawn's light had given way to midday, the sun filtering through leaves, casting dappled patterns on their path. "We're close to a safe clearing," Thorne said, voice low, as if wary of the forest's ears. "Used to camp there as a kid. It's hidden, defensible." He glanced at her, concern softening his rugged features. "How's it feel? The change?" Elara flexed her fingers, noting their newfound strength. "Like I'm waking up. Stronger, sharper. But it's strange. I hear things, your heartbeat, the wind's secrets." She paused, meeting his gaze. "Am I becoming like you?" Thorne stopped, turning to her fully. His hands cupped her face, thumbs tracing her cheekbones with reverence. "Not exactly. The bond's reshaping you, but it's unique. Silas called it liminal. You're something new. We'll learn together." His voice held a promise, but suspense flickered in his eyes. What if the next moon brought more than transformation? She leaned into his touch, their foreheads touching, breaths mingling. "Together," she echoed, the word a vow. Their lips met, a kiss, soft yet electric, pouring love into the quiet moment. The bond flared, sharing flashes, his relief at her acceptance, her joy in his strength. Hands roamed hers along his scarred arms, his at her waist, building intimacy that promised a future. Even as danger loomed, a low growl from Thorne broke the kiss. He spun, nostrils flaring, as a shadow moved in the trees, too large for a wolf, too silent for human. "Stay close," he whispered, claws extending slightly, a partial shift. Elara's heart raced, but her new instincts surged. She grabbed a sturdy branch, ready to fight beside him. The shadow resolved into a creature, a massive wolf, fur silvered with age, eyes glowing with an eerie wisdom. Not Ronan's pack, nor Silas's. It stood still, watching, then spoke, a voice like gravel, resonating in their minds. "Bonded ones, the forest sees you. The curse is broken, but the wild claims its due." Elara froze, the telepathic voice chilling her. "What are you?" she demanded, gripping the branch tighter. The wolf tilted its head, almost amused. "Guardian of the old ways, the forest spirit, bound to balance. Your bond defies the curse, but her change tests the wild's laws. Choose, join a pack, or claim this land as rogues." Thorne stepped forward, shielding Elara. "We choose freedom. No pack, no chains." The guardian's eyes narrowed. "Freedom has a price. Prove your bond's strength, or the wild reclaims her." It vanished into the trees, leaving a ripple of energy that made the amulet hum. Elara's breath hitched. "Reclaims me? What does that mean?" Thorne pulled her close, his warmth calming her. "The forest's magic is alive, older than shifters. It's testing us, our bond, your change. We'll prove it." His certainty steadied her, but suspense lingered. What trial awaited? They reached the clearing by dusk, a sheltered glade ringed by towering pines, a stream gurgling nearby. Thorne built a fire, its crackle a comfort against the forest's whispers. As they sat, Elara opened up, the bond, urging honesty. I was running from everything, Marcus, my past. Now, I'm running toward you, but I'm scared. What if I lose myself? Thorne took her hand, kissing her knuckles. You won't. The bond anchors us. You're not losing, you're growing. His eyes glowed softly, love raw and open. I was lost too, until you. This, he touched her heart, then his is home. Tears pricked her eyes, not from fear but from the depth of their connection. They kissed again, slower, deeper, bodies pressing close by the firelight. The bond sang, weaving their futures, a life unbound, yet together. Elara felt her wildness settle, not consuming but harmonizing. As night fell, the guardian's challenge loomed. A howl rose, not a threat, but a call. Elara's senses flared, catching a vision, a stone circle deep in the forest, pulsing with power. It's there, she whispered, knowing instinctively. Our test. Thorne nodded, resolve hardening. We face it at the next moon. Together, we'll claim our place. The fire flickered, casting their shadows as one. The bond was their strength, but the wild's verdict awaited, suspense threading their path to a final reckoning.